the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
All right, welcome back to the Chase Thomas Podcast, where I'm now joined by a first-timer Gatlinburg-Pittman's own Tyler Williams. Tyler, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Doing well. It's always a great day to be a Highlander, and appreciate the invite. Happy to come on and talk football.
Absolutely. I mean, we're here in the middle of May, Tyler. We're getting ready for summer work and this, that, and the other. Like, the season will be here before you know it. It's like we're only a couple months out, and we'll be back to Friday Night Lights here in East Tennessee. How has the offseason program been for you? Are you wrapping up? Do you still have a few more weeks to go? Where are you at in your offseason program?
Okay, well, we're actually finishing up spring practice. So we had a great offseason. Of course, I'm a big weight room guy. When times that I've not been a head coach, I've usually been offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, but almost always in the weight room. And so, man, I love the weight room. And for me, that's where, you build a high school football program. You take kids who come into your program and maybe they're good players. You can make them into great players in that weight room. And that's something we believe in here. We really try to grind and work hard. Really just as soon as the season's over, we get back to work and we go all the way through the spring ball. But we're actually in spring football right now. Yep. We actually have our last day of practice today, and then we're going up to scrimmage Davy Crockett up there in the Tri-Cities tomorrow. So okay,
all right, you ready? You ready for the scrimmage?
Oh yeah, we're ready for that, man. It's always, seasons are great, and when you're a football coach, July through November is rough on you and your family and trying to find free time just a little bit. So, as much as I love football, enjoy that off season. But man, when you get into March, you start thinking about the next year and how you're going to put that team together and watching your young guys grow and trying to find the next guy, the next group of guys, the next position, whatever you got to do. So, it's always a lot of fun, and it gives you just a little bit of a taste of what's coming for the next year. So I think it's nice for the kids. I know a lot of schools up north, a lot of states up north don't have spring football. I could do without it, but on the other hand, since we have it, it's fun and I enjoy it. And we try to, not try to make it too serious, just, install our base stuff, find the next group of kids that's going to help you out that year, and all of us just get a little bit of a taste.
Do you kind of have like a good rhythm and routine and schedule for your off-season program at this point, or do you still tinker with things a little bit?
Tinker with it a little bit. I'm always a little bit of a tinkerer, but usually that's based on what do my kids need. Do I have a group that's lagging behind in a particular area? And we will tinker a little bit, but generally I have what I like to do planned out. We try to train the whole body. We are going to be big into plyometrics, big into speed and agility, big into stretching. And then we are going to hammer trying to put weight on those kids. Most kids in high school, I mean, you get kids worried about being too big and too muscle bound and stuff like that. Man, that's almost unheard of. It really is. For most kids, it's just trying to put weight on. I mean, especially, here we're a small school, barely over 400 kids. And so, you get kids in here, you got receivers at 140 pounds. You're trying to put weight on linebackers that are 155, 160 pounds. You're just trying to get those kids some muscle on them. We call it body armor. You got to have body armor to get through a season. I tell those guys all the time. I say, look, you're going to put on shoulder pads in July, and hopefully we're not taking them off till sometime late in November, so that's a long time to be beating and banging on each other, and you got to prepare your body for that. The kids, people who don't do that, they don't make it through the season. They really don't. It's tough anyway.
Has that changed over the years in terms of being able, like, tricks of the trade to kind of, like, Uncrustables are obviously a big part of it, and shakes and stuff. Like, is it easier now, or is it harder for guys to get weight, like, just with so many different options out there?
I think it just depends on the kid, and some kids, man, you'll hammer away at them for 4 years. Yeah, and it's funny, and I get them hooked into the weight room, and they love it, but they just don't ever seem to gain the weight. Like I've got a couple of kids who just graduated 2-3 years ago. Yeah, and you see those kids now, and they're 21, 22 years old, and they're like, "Holy cow! I wish you looked like this when you played for us." I mean, they grew into their body, and some of it is just time. and some kids just don't do it until they get in their 20s and don't really, get big and stuff like that. But for some guys, it just depends on the guys, and some kids are really dedicated. I mean, I coached down when I first started coaching high school football. I coached down in Florida, and we had this defensive end who he was a good defensive end. He was about 6'6", but he was just naturally about 220, 225. And he wound up signing with Mississippi State, and they said, "Hey, we love you, but here's the deal, man. You got to put on 25 pounds before you get here. You can't come in here at 220. You just can't do it in the SEC." So, we put that kid on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I mean, he literally ate 12 a day. I mean, he hated them, and he really did. It was brutal. I mean, it's just force feeding, but he didn't give up. He did it. He stuck with it, and I'm gonna take when he got down there, he was 250.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, my football career ended after 8th grade, coach. I was 5'10", 130, and that was just like there's the weight. I did all of it. Like some of it's like you're fighting your metabolism, your genetics, and it was like I'm 140, and I'm 5'10", 140, and I'm 34. Like it's just I don't know if it's ever gonna change or ever gonna slow down, but I did all of it, and it still just never mattered. And it was one of those where
a lot of it is genetics, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I came out of high school, so I played at UT. I was a preferred walk-on at UT, and so I came out of high school. I mean, I was kind of a naturally, because I was 3-sport guy. I played basketball, baseball, so I was kind of like naturally like 220, 225. Now I wasn't never going to stay that weight.
Yeah.
As I got older, but I didn't lift much too, and that's part of why I like the gym. Now I wasn't into lifting back then, and when I got to college, I saw how far behind I was. But so for I see people as all kinds, So for me, man, when I started eating and lifting, I got big. It was easy, man. I blew up. But I saw other people. Shoot, I saw people that played with UT that were better players than me. But we had an offensive lineman at the time that was 270 and struggled to be 270. Now he was strong enough, fast enough, all that kind of thing. So it's just it is interesting to see, and people's different body types. And then some people, even when they're adults, trying to pack up. I got a good friend of mine, of course, Derek Ring, Coach Ring, coaches out of Oak Ridge. He coached here at GP, and he was actually the one who brought me on here to GP, and I came in and worked for him as O-line coach and special teams coordinator, and we ran the weight room together. Coach Rang loves the weight room too. And of course, kind of body opposites, man. He's one of those guys. He loves lifting, and he would come in there and he'd be like, I just don't know what I can do. I can't, I'm trying to bulk back up. He'd be eating McDonald's and Doritos and drinking all this stuff, and I'm sitting over here eating my tuna salad sandwich and drinking water and working out, and I'm just trying to get under 300 pounds, So different body types. Yeah. It's interesting, and you got to figure out, what people's body types are. And sometimes you just got to work with what you got too at a level. Like our offensive line at GP this year is not going to be very big, but they're strong, they're athletic. I think our biggest kid's probably going to be 250. And the next biggest one there on the offensive line is probably going to be 230, 235. So they're not real big, but they're going to be strong. They're going to be athletic. They're smart kids. They're going to be where they're supposed to be. They're going to be blocking somebody. So, like I said, high school football, most of us, you just kind of have to, especially really at GP. Now we're blessed here. We've got great facilities, great community support, great financial support from our county and from our city. But, we're still a rural small 3A school, really are. And so, you go through cycles with what you got. I think in a couple of years, I'm going to have some big linemen. But and a couple of years ago, I had some big linemen. Right now, I got some smaller guys. So we're just going to go with what we got. And you try to get them as strong as you can. And you try to bulk them up a little bit so they can make it through that long grind of a football season. And you try to, get them to be the best football players that they can.
Does that make it hard, numbers-wise, and just with the offensive line weight fluctuation, to have a consistent scheme and to be able to have a traditional install spring and summer, and just knowing, hey, that like size and that kind of thing is just, we're not gonna be able to block and do some of the stuff that I would like to do some years that we can't do other years? Like, does that change, make it harder?
You do have to change a little bit sometimes, but in general, that's why I'm of course, every coach got what they believe in. And some coaches say, I'm a zone guy, and you can still do this with small linemen. I get it. I used to be kind of a zone guy, but at this point in my career, I'm a gap scheme guy. So we run the old power scheme, which, you're blocking down, you're kicking out with like a blocking back, a tight end, a snip, or whatever you call it, and you're pulling that guard. And then we run the buck sweep, where you pull both guards and you're blocking. Then we do it in multiple formations, and we run counter. Yeah. And so for me, that's all. Of course, I've coached about everything. I've been spread, inside and outside zone, under center wing tee. So I've done a little bit of everything, and but to me, the gap schemes, it's angle blocking, it's double teams. So if you're double team, I'll tell a guy, say, hey, look, that defensive tackle there, he may be 290, but if my guard is 200 and my tackle's 235, well, we still outweigh that guy.
Yeah.
So if we get our hips together and we get lower than he is, we come off the ball faster than he does, we're going to move that guy. So I believe in those gap schemes because I've had big linemen that has worked. I've had smaller linemen that has worked. You got to have, in football, you kind of got to have answers. And sometimes the answer is they crowd the box too much and you throw it. And sometimes is they overload the strong stride and you got to run weak. So, there's always answers in football, but I'm a gap scheme guy, and I think it works with whatever kind of lineman you have.
What was the biggest challenge you had last season?
We had a young football team, and of course, it had been a little while. I was a head coach previously out in Middle Tennessee. I was in Cheatham County, just north of Nashville. I moved back home. Of course, my family's from around here, and so we moved back to Sevier County, and I've been here for several years. And so taking over as a head coach, we had lost the year before, and we're had won 10 football games, got to the third round of the playoffs, and we just had graduated some really good players. We had our quarterback had gone to VMI. We had a linebacker and a tight end who had gone to Wake Forest to play linebacker with me, and then Carlos Orr was a wide receiver who went and played at Illinois, and of course he's in the transfer portal right now. But obviously, for a school our size, unbelievable talent that year. Yeah. And had a really good line, had an all-state lineman that year. We graduated some really good players. So it was just a young team, and we didn't have a lot of seniors. And so that was, and then to boot on top of that, so, started a quarterback 2.5 games. He got hurt, had to start another quarterback, had my starting running back was banged up. My backup running back was banged up, had a couple of linemen who were banged up through the season. So, man, we lost a starting cornerback with a broken leg. Young team, lots of injuries. So that was a challenge, just trying to stay next man up. But for me as a coach, I'm one of those guys. I think this is offensive line background. I'm always thinking about, what am I going to do when this guy goes down? What am I going to do with this guy goes down? Who's our next? So I believe in getting the backup guys reps and having them as ready as can be with still getting your starting units enough reps ready to play football. That was definitely the challenge last year. I'm very fortunate that I've got a lot of really good experienced coaches, and I had even though they were small, had a good, hard-working blue-collar senior class. So, we were able to win 9 games, get back to the third round of the playoffs. Of course, we ran into the same roadblock that everybody had run into in Class 3A the last 10 years. Which
Not anymore.
Not anymore. That is correct. There was a collective sigh of relief from 3A last year when that happened, and a grinding of the teeth from those coaches in 4A. But all I know is we kind of did our penance, paid our dues with those guys, and played them a couple close games. 2 years ago, that team I was just talking about, we played them closely and played them closely at their place 4 or 5 years ago. But I mean, it's just unbelievable what Coach Nix and Coach Rankin before him had done over there, and unbelievable football pro. Man, I don't know. I know there's some good teams in 4A. I don't know how anybody slows them down there. They're unbelievable. But we're looking forward, and I'd say there's quite a few other football programs in East and Middle Tennessee that are looking forward to a wide open Class 3A here in 2025.
Absolutely. Knowing what you know going 9-4 last year, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself before week 1 about, just one piece of advice you would tell yourself?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I guess I would have to say, just take it one game at a time. And it's not that I was really trying to think ahead, but I just knew we had some really big challenges in front of us. We've been good, going back through Coach Wagner, who was here before me, and then back on to Coach Rank. We've been really good here since I had been at GP, 7 years, and we've not missed the playoffs, not had a losing record. been really good. And then when you're a small school and you're pretty good, you don't find a lot of people want to play you. So, we wound up playing some bigger schools and things like that. So like last year, we're playing, Carter, who was a solid 4A team, and Fulton, who was much improved last year in 4A, as well as playing a couple bigger local schools like Seymour and Cott County, who, even though maybe they didn't have the best seasons, they still got a lot more kids than we do. They got a lot more bodies flying around than we do. And so, I'd just probably take it one game at a time with everything we had going on. I had a lot going on personally as a new coach and in my personal life. And then, man, just with everything that was happening, I'd probably just say, hey, just relax, one day at a time, one game at a time. Let's not try to worry about the playoffs or anything like that. And so that's going to be what we do this year. We're going to take it one game at a time. But our kids are excited. Our kids are excited, like we were just talking about that possibility of what can we do in the playoffs this year. Of playing some new teams and some new matchups. Not only is Alcoa going, but PWSAA's mixed up that playoff format a little bit, where we might see some teams from Region 3 a little bit earlier in the playoffs than we normally would. And so it's kind of neat possibility to play some different teams and things like that. And of course, this year I've got a lot more experience coming back. We've got a lot more starters returning. Both quarterbacks who started for us last year returning. Both running backs who started last year returning. I've got I think probably the guys who wind up starting for us this year on defense, or at least right now in spring practice, who we think will wind up starting. I think 8 of those guys started last year. So, that was a defense last year. Of course, Jimmy Rowlands, my defense coordinator, does a great job, real experienced coach. I think in region play, we only gave up 7.3 points or something like that. So, we didn't give up a lot in region play. And so to have all those guys coming back, basically all our linebackers who started are back, we feel good about this year's team. We're excited. I'm excited for these kids. They've worked really hard. They've gotten stronger, and we're just interested to see where it goes from here. We get a little taste tomorrow at Crockett, so I'm eager to see how that goes, and then get back to work for the summer.
It seemed like you figured something out after Johnson County, right? What flipped for your team? Was it just hey, experience and just getting the reps, and then you finished kind of strong there in the second half of the season? Did you notice anything that was different about your team from that game on?
Well, we figured out that we're a team that's not going to be able to just roll out there and everybody's going to run from that GP on the side of our helmet.
Yeah.
And I think that was the deal at Johnson County. Of course, I will give our kids a little bit of grace there. That was a game that was supposed to be played earlier in the year. We had the floods happened here in East Tennessee, and they were greatly affected by that. We were sympathetic. 2 of our region opponents were very much affected by that. They were, and then of course Unicoi County was.
Yeah.
We tried to be as good to those folks as possible, get outside of the game for a little bit and try to be sympathetic and everything. But so the only way we were able to reschedule that game, fortunately, we both had the same off week, which was our fall break. So we had to reschedule that game for later in the year. We go up there on fall break, which you don't really like to play on fall break if you don't have to. Most high school football coaches don't, just because, a lot of parents understand, but some don't. They want to get out of town and do all this stuff, and then you're out of your normal routine. Kids are not at school, and then of course, man, it is a haul. We're up here in the mountains, but Johnson County is up there in the mountains, brother. When you go up there, there ain't nowhere else to go but Virginia, North Carolina. That's it, And so we left for noon. That was a 7:00 game, and we left at noon for GP to get there. It's kind of hard to believe we're in the same region, but
they don't call it Mountain City, Tennessee for nothing here, Coach.
And it's a pretty place, just like our place is. Pretty place, nice place to play, super people, and but man, it's just way out there. So we had a long drive, open week, and we came out flat.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from those guys, man. They had a good football team last year, but it still felt like a game that we should have won. We wound up tied last year in Region 1. Our goal was to win the region and be at home in the playoffs. And so, we wound up tied with them because we stubbed our toe at Johnson County. Well, the other team in that three-way, that trio there was Unicoi. Well, we wound up beating them twice by 3 touchdowns. So we really felt like we were the best team, but we didn't prove it on the field, and that's been kind of our thing we've been talking about here in the off season is we want to work hard enough to where when we get into region play, we want to leave no doubt who the best team is. Now, are we able to do that? That's what we'll have to find out. But I think we just figured out that we cannot walk through our opponents. You're going to have to go earn it. Those guys were pumped up for a big game, ready to play. We weren't. And after that, we had a little bit of reality check. We came back and said, hey, can't do that anymore. And so, man, I was proud of our guys, though, because we wound up going on the road in the playoffs at Kingston, who was a very talented team. We were able to earn that win, go back to Unicoi. It's hard to beat a good team twice, especially Unicoi was undefeated. They were undefeated regular season. Except for us. They had beat the rest of their teams. And then so, we go back up there, have to play at their place. I know they wanted revenge. And Coach Rice does a good job up there. So, we were able to beat them again and earn that, I guess you could say that coveted third-round spot with Alcoa, So, but, I just was really proud of our guys the way they grew up and finished that season.
Yeah, and I have a bone to pick with Kingston. They gotta the Roane County versus Kingston stuff drives me nuts. Like, you gotta pick one. Like, why are we doing this? It's so weird. I don't understand why we're doing this.
That's how many times I've gotten calls and texts from parents when we play them.
Yeah,
it's like, where are we going? I can't find Kingston High School in Google Maps, and I was like, well, okay, I got to explain it. And yeah, that's kind of a funny one to me too. But I guess that's just one of those local East Tennessee things that they gotta figure out for themselves.
Well, as I continue to grow in influence here, Tyler, that's one of my first moves as the new czar of the TSSAA is we're getting rid of that. Like, no, like whatever you're called is what you're called, and that's it. We're not doing these nicknames. And also just be Kingston. It's a cooler name. Kingston Yellow Jackets is just better. They
were the capital of Tennessee for a day. That's a little Tennessee.
Well, it's also they're not the only Roane County. So how do you get that? Like, there's other schools in Roane County. So how do you get the? These are all kinds of things that I want answers to, Tyler.
I hear you.
Yeah, I don't know. Final football thing for you. What are the biggest spring? You talked about a lot of returning guys, especially like 8 or 9 guys on defense, quarterback, running backs. A lot of people are back. Is there a big spring, summer position battle that you're still monitoring here that you're really excited about playing out over the next couple of months?
Well, we're still having a little bit. It's still a little bit of a quarterback competition because we had 2 guys who started there last year, and they both want to play the position. And, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. One guy's a little probably head on the throw. Another guy kind of maybe a little bit as a runner, but that'll be interesting. I think for our team, it's more about building depth. Like, I kind of know who starting 5 offensive linemen are, but one thing I've had about with my line coach is like, hey man, we got to figure out who number 6 is, because you just can't say we're going to play all 10 games with all 5 of those starting linemen. It just, as soon as you say that, you'll be on the next one in a hurry. So we got to figure out who number 6 is on the O line. That we use what we call a B back, that sniffer position, and so 3 guys in the rotation there. They all 3 play a lot of defense. We'll have to kind of figure out who that is. I think there's still some things up for grabs on our defensive line on who's going to play. And then probably the biggest one, I guess, would be outside linebacker for us, because we had 3 guys. So I graduated 1 starting outside linebacker. He didn't play the whole season. And so there were 3 guys who were returning this year that did play and all started at least 1 game, and most of them multiple games. And so there's going to be kind of a little 3-way battle there between 3 guys trying to figure out who that other starting outside linebacker is. But man, when we got some big pieces coming back, and so Craig Husky was Mike linebacker for us last year. Was All-State last year as a junior, had 132 tackles. Craig's back for his senior campaign. He's one of those guys in that B-back battle position, and looks really good doing that. And then, of course, we've got Braden Maples. He was All-State last year as a sophomore. And I've got Braden for 2 more years. Braden is actually getting a lot of attention from some Division I schools. I went up to Michigan for a visit this spring, visited spring football, picked up another offer from Miami, Ohio. My phone has stayed busy. People interested in Braden. I mean, I've gotten calls from Ole Miss, Arkansas, Missouri, just asking, hey, what about this Maples kid? What kind of kid is he and everything? Which I just tell them, say, look, I believe he's a Division I running back. Can he play in the SEC? Can he play in the Big Ten? Like, that's what you guys got to decide, But I do believe Braden will be a Division I running back, and he'll be a big feature in our offense. He is, he's about 5'11", about 185, 190 pounds, legit 4'5", 40 guy. getting really strong in the weight room. I mean, when you're all state as a sophomore, 24 touchdowns, and you only played 10 games, you're pretty good. And
Yeah.
so we're looking for big things for him. And I think, the amount of attention Braden will draw in the run game will open up some things for our two quarterbacks coming back in the passing game.
I love it. Couple quick non-football related questions for you, Tyler.
Yeah.
Gatlinburg-Pittman went viral on Twitter. Was it a year ago or 2 years ago with the black bear on the field? I don't even.
It was 2 years ago. Yeah, Coach Wagner. We were in the weight room when that happened, and Brad Wagner was our head coach at the time, and I think I actually spotted it first. But Brad's he's quick on that camera. Boy, he pulled that camera up and got that bear field and put it out there, and it was funny. It was funny how many people kind of latched onto that deal, especially for us, because we're like, man, we see bears all the time. I mean, that's
what I was going to ask you. So is this how common is the black bear experience here in Gatlinburg-Pittman?
I mean, you won't say you see one every day, but
yeah.
You're gonna. It's all the time. It's common enough to where I don't like to leave the field house doors open, especially at night.
Yeah,
that's like a big thing. And I mean, like, man, I can take care of myself, but I don't think I could fight a 350-pound, 400-pound bear in a closed off space. I want to be able to hit and dodge. I don't want to be fucking with it. And so they love, I mean, high school, especially because we got the Rocky Top Sports Complex up here.
Yeah.
And so there's always stuff going on. We've got bear-proof dumpsters, but there's always a lot of trash cans and stuff out. Well, they're coming down to school. They're looking through the trash cans and things like that. We had one. I forget. It may have been the Johnson County game that we got back from last year. And me and one of my assistants were trying to get everything squared away and everything like that. And he's like, hey, Coach, I'm going to park the trailer up here. And there is a 400-pounder, rifling through the. So we're trying to run that thing out of here and make sure it doesn't get in. Man, they're here all the time. They really are. But like I said, yeah, I'm really paranoid, especially at night in the summer and fall about closing the doors. I just don't want to walk in my office and find a bear, eating the sandwich that I threw away for lunch or whatever it was,
I mean, the black bears, I love them, and I'm going swimming and seeing them in Kate's Cove and everything. They're just, I just love them walking through. They're just like hippie bears. Like, they're not really, they're just out here. They can remember trash from like a crazy amount of time away. Like, if they go back in the mountains, I was reading up on just how crazy their sin is and how good their memory is in terms of where stuff is. Like, they can go miles.
Yeah, the sense of smell is what's amazing about them, because it's like, I forget how many times, like 200 times better than a bloodhound. And it's just like, man, and then, just how athletic they are at their size and everything. Because that one, so the night that we got back from the game and we were running that guy out of the stadium, like one of my coaches, Coach Schultz, he was kind of running it out of the stadium. And there's like a fence down here, one part of the side of the stadium down here by the field. It's probably about 5 feet, 6 feet. Now I'm on the other side of that thing. Now, I'm not where he hopped it, but on the other side of it. I'm like, kind of still safe over here. That dude just takes a run and go and just hops that thing. And I was like, whoa, okay. I think I'm going to go back inside and watch from the window.
I mean, they can climb. You're looking at it, you're like, that weight and everything else, man. They're something else. Black bears, they're sneaky athletic is, I guess, the best way of describing them.
Up here, they are. They're all over.
Yeah. You get your pick on the summer vacation this year. You can go anywhere you want to go. Money is no object. Tyler, where are you going this summer?
I would go out west. One thing I really want to do, of course, I've been out to, in football travels, traveling for football games and coaching clinics and all stuff like that. Man, I've been out to Texas a couple of times, California once, but where I really want to go, I'm wanting to take a trip out west. I like trout fishing. I'm a fly fisherman, the third generation fly fisherman. My granddad and dad taught me how to fly fish, and of course, there's plenty of that here in the Smoky Mountains. But I'd love to go out west. I would love to fly fish out there. I would love to see some of those old west towns. Man, I'm a big, I grew up with like Tombstone and Deadwood and all that kind of stuff. So my son's named Wyatt. I named him after, because I was a huge Tombstone fan growing up.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't get any better. I saw a video on Twitter. The stuff that's going around on X right now, the babies is hilarious. Somebody redid the I'm Your Huckleberry scene with babies today. I sent that to my defensive coordinator because we're always quoting Tombstone. But I would definitely go out west. My wife and I actually saving up. We've got like a little vacation fund that we said, hey, for too long. We want to take a trip out west. I want to see some of those old west towns, do some fishing out there. I think that would be a blast. That's one place I've never been.
I love that. Tyler, how do the good folks in Gatlinburg support Gatlinburg-Pittman football here this spring and summer?
Oh, man, it's always our support here is unparalleled. I'll tell everybody and anybody who wants to listen, it doesn't get any better. This is listen. I guess if I don't do a good enough job and they need somebody else, that's fine. That's the only way they're getting rid of me till I retire. I love it here. I've coached 3 other high schools, around in Tennessee, down in Florida. Man, this place is great because everybody wants to win, but everybody's on the same side. Everybody's on the our people are fantastic. Our business partners here in the community are fantastic. The people, who run our quarterback club, the people who help support us financially. Everybody's just like, Coach, what do you need? What can we get you? No, not, hey, who are we going to beat this year? Or who's, listen, they love GP football. They love taking care of these kids. But I will say, look, they do that for every sport. They do that for our school. And that's why we've got a great school. I mean, we are a top-notch academic school. And we're good in every sport across the board. And so, our people in the community is a big reason why. They really are. I mean, it's fantastic. Can't say enough good things about them. We and too many to name. I mean, everybody's that way. It's like you can't go like, well, these guys do, but don't go to that group there. Man, it's churches, it's businesses, it's city officials. We've got great support. Really do.
I love it. Tyler, keep up the great work, my friend. Good luck tomorrow, and we'll have to check back in here in a couple months when we get ready for preview season. It'll be here before you know it, and get ready for Gatlinburg-Pittman with no Alcoa in 3A. It's a brave new world here for everybody.
We'll take it. We'll take it this year. So I appreciate you putting me on. Always loving talking GP football and just whatever. So I really appreciate it. And thanks. Yeah, just give us a shout anytime.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler.
Appreciate it.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.